Howdy, everyone. It's Saturday, which means that it's Pulp Cthulhu. Hi, how's everyone doing? I hope we're not muted because I don't want to restart that intro. What is going on? Okay, sure. Hi, I'm Simon at Wandering DM. I'm getting weird alerts from my computer, so if I freeze, I apologize. I don't know what's going on in the background right now. But welcome to our third episode of Pulp Cthulhu, the Go West campaign. We'll go around thingy, introduce ourselves, blah blah blah. Right after, I just wanted to let everyone know that if you want to alter the course of the game, if you want to spice things up for us, or give our lovely keeper Deirdre some more tools with which to torture us, you can look right down on the Twitch page with all of the donations and what they do. You can help us by giving us more sanity, says the guy currently sitting at 44 and thus almost the lowest. Or you can, hinder, screw, have some effect on how screwed we are. That being said, I am reprising the role of George Brooke. I haven't practiced my southern drawl in a bit, so I might be a bit rusty. But I am the deputy, and I come from far, far away. And that's what I do. I'm gonna go play poker. And I think we'll just go counterclockwise because... clockwise, actually, because since Quentin isn't here. So we'll... Up next, Kiana.
Hi, I'm back. I'm in a different place. I'm visiting my parents, so I am going with the bare minimum of software here. But I'm excited to be back here and to be playing June Chen, our friendly neighborhood bounty hunter. Friendly neighborhood is the correct words for her. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, super excited to be back and seeing what everything that I've missed is going to do to us.
Well, we're not gonna lie. We were sort of waiting for you before we did anything dangerous, because we're scared. Because we're gonna get hurt. And speaking of getting hurt, our resident doctor, Scott, who are you? Who are you playing?
I'm Scott, Berserker Rage on Twitter. I will be playing the skeptical Dr. Drake Anders of Four Corners, New Mexico Territories, who is waiting for his sanity to completely disappear any minute.
Yep. And last but not least, the only person here to have lived in Four Corners all their lives. Thank you for the follow, Lindy. Kelly, who are you? Who are you playing?
Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm playing Maisie Coldwater, a young woman who runs the local general store now that her parents have essentially retired from the life. And I believe she's currently carrying around a sack of dynamite.
Which we will definitely need. So I'll leave the mic to our keeper to introduce herself and throw us into the chaos that is Four Corners, New Mexico. Deirdre, it's your turn.
Well, evening, y'all. I hope y'all had a pleasant week before we come here and drive these fine folk mad. But I do believe we left off in a general store with some decisions made about attending a fine game of poker in the saloon. We are gonna fast forward just a teeny bit as the, poker game's not gonna get started till well after nightfall, and some of these folk have some things to do during the day. Our dear priest, Father Boris, felt the calling of God and returned to meditate and pray on the question at hand. particularly as he felt that a man of God should maybe not be partaken in the great sin of gambling for money. Gambling for souls, probably. Money, probably not his best idea. But we're gonna start after some of these fine folk go about their day. We're gonna start back in that general store. Maisie, you have the store to yourself now. The doctor and the deputy have left to get themselves organized. But I don't think Maisie's right happy with certain decisions that were made today. How is she feeling?
I think Maisie's a little concerned. She felt that there might have been some finger pointing, some gentle finger pointing going on at the local, the owner of the local tavern, who she considers like an uncle to her. She was very close to him growing up all her life. And she's not so sure if the rest of the group is going to give him the same benefit of the doubt that Maisie is. So she's a little worried, but she's not quite sure what to do about it. Because there's that tickling in the back of her head that's like, but what if?
Not uncommon, not a bad thing to do. You want to make sure you make that judgment of a man fairly, but you want to be secure in your own right too.
Yeah, and so
But you do know that your, well, dear Uncle Bruce invited your daddy to the game tonight.
yeah, and I think Maisie is going to try and get the store put together, do things to keep her hands busy, and kind of shortly keep an eye out though on her front door at the tavern, at the saloon, and see if she can get there kind of right as Daddy does.
Okay, so you're gonna keep your eye on the door and make sure you don't miss anybody important.
Yeah, I think she wants to try and catch her dad before the party starts. Trying to maybe remind him that Mama's been mad recently about his drinking, and he should take it easy.
Maybe encourage him to go home and not partake in the events of the evening.
Yeah.
Well, as we leave our dear Maisie to finish putting away the stock, find something to do with that flour sack that she has a bunch of dynamite in, prepared for, I guess, maybe tomorrow at this point. Going bug hunting in some mines with some dynamite. Well, we're going to pan down to the doctor, because the doctor has a gentleman in his place of business. Again, Jack and or John, somebody still doesn't gonna know which, but now it might be slightly easier to tell them apart with the, large scar running across his face and throat from that plate glass window that he done got thrown through. You gonna check on the man? Or?
Yeah, we'll see how he's doing. Let's go see how Jack, John, whichever one this is doing.
Nobody's sure. I don't think they know anymore.
So how's the patient doing today?
You see the gentleman has become unconscious. He's also, even without a medicine roll, it's easy to see that he's suffering and he's sweating. Some sort of beginnings of something. You'd need medicine to see more about him.
Okay. We'll give his eyes a look and see if he's looking like the folks that were in the jail. Oh, I
Mhm.
failed. I'm going to spend the
3 luck?
yeah.
Okay. You are entirely correct. This gentleman is beginning to exhibit symptoms similar to the withdrawal of the folks in the jail. However, it does seem that the man's blood loss has exacerbated the problem. And he is a might fare worse off than the folk at the jail. You also, removing the gentleman's bandages around his throat, notice the beginnings of infection have set in.
All right. Let's get something on those wounds there. Looks like you're having a rough time about things. Let's get you cleaned up and see if we can't get you feeling a little better. And I'll go over to the stove and put a pot of water on and get it boiling for him.
Mm-hmm.
Since, we know we don't want him drinking anything else from around here.
Probably not. Definitely not that alcohol that the deputy tried last time.
Definitely not.
Probably wouldn't be in his best interests. But you do have something else in your pocket, Doctor. Well, this water boils and you have this gentleman unconscious on your treatment bed.
I'll go ahead and pull the letter out that I received from my pocket and go ahead and give it an open and take a look.
It is a letter indeed. From your dear sister Isabel, writing to inform you that unfortunately I have regrettable news, brother. My husband Drake has passed. Or excuse me, my husband Terrence has passed. I'm writing to my brother Drake. I write these things down. And New York holds no further desires for me. But I shall be arriving in Four Corners in the near future. I'm bringing with me Lawrence, you know him, he's just turned 6 now. And you have not yet met her, but my daughter Cassandra is now turned 2, and together, well, coming to visit you and stay with you would be much more preferable than remaining in New York. Terrence's parents are becoming problematic, is the best way to probably put it. So I hope you'll be able to find suitable accommodation for us. I'm more than willing to act as your secretary, as I did for father for a number of years. And, oh yes, I'm bringing you a small surprise. Now, as I'm sending off this letter, I believe it should be getting to you maybe a week before we arrive. I'm sure that's not too short a period of time to prepare for us. Love always, Isabel.
And I'll carefully fold the letter back and just tuck that away in my pocket, realizing that it's probably far too late for me to get word back to her not to come to Four Corners.
Probably. If the letters come out this fast, the stage is going to be due in the near future.
Right.
So that's going to be a problem. She's definitely going to be here before you can get any sort of information back to her.
Right. I guess I'll have to make preparations available. Time suitable, of course. And
How are you preparing for this poker night then?
Probably just pack up my medical bag and bring that along with me and just kind of play the role of casual observer, not a poker player. So I'm just there to just be a doctor on hand.
Any concerns about what might happen tonight, Doctor?
If anybody's imbibing in that alcohol, I'm afraid we may have another case of the crazies on our hands.
Yeah. Speaking of the crazies, George, as you return to your jail, you notice that Joshua Covington has become more petulant than you would expect, given, gentleman. I mean, he is over the age of 18, and I guess he's an adult. His age. He's sitting in the back corner, proceeding to just glare daggers at you as you walk in the door. While the doctor's treatments of the other folk in your jail cells was helpful, you definitely see that they have kind of progressed into the, oh God, go away and don't touch me, I'm just going to be sick for a while stage of recovery. But I also need you to do something else for me, Doctor. Or for me, Deputy.
That being?
Well, there's something sitting on your desk. Wasn't there when you were here before.
I don't like you using the term something.
Well, it's just a piece of paper. Well, it's an envelope.
I recall the mailman gave me only wanted papers. I'll go over to the desk and I'll pick up the envelope.
It's addressed to the sheriff. Directly to Sheriff Covington. Marked urgent.
I would assume that in the sheriff's absence, I am legally authorized to open mail.
Sure, you can do that.
I mean, it's written urgent on it. I'm gonna open it.
Mm-hmm. It's a very brief, very short letter from the sheriff of Lubbock, Texas, to Sheriff Covington of Four Corners, New Mexico Territory, dated 4 weeks ago.
Dang, I got here on time.
Mm-hmm. A woman known as Jane Langley escaped custody 2 months ago. Please let Mr. George Brooke know that we appreciate his assistance in her apprehension and that of her brothers, and we wish to keep him informed. Also, I can find no forwarding address for one Jimmy Patterson. Perhaps Mr. Brooke will know where his compatriot has ended up, and might be able to inform him of the danger we believe him to be in. Well, Jane Langley has escaped. Her brother James was hanged for his crimes, and her younger brother is still incarcerated in Yuma prison. We have strengthened the guard at Yuma, but we have not seen or heard of Jane Langley since. All the best, Steve. Your friend, Thomas.
Something tells me I shouldn't have opened that letter. I'm gonna pocket it. With the envelope. Like, both.
So you're going to pocket the letter and the envelope?
Yeah. I mean, I can handle Jane Langley. Jane Langley. By herself. Without her brothers. Shouldn't be that big a deal. I'll turn around to Mr. Covington.
He's sitting petulantly in the corner, just kind of glaring at you, almost playing the... I'm not even going to deign you with a vocal response because you have no value.
Are you feeling a mite better, Mr. Covington?
I don't know that I was feeling poorly to begin with, Deputy Brooke.
Reckon with all the stench and all the vomit all over the cell. That didn't-
Yes, that wasn't pleasant.
Have you thought about the reason why you were incarcerated?
Because you're a lying, cheating, no good idiot.
Because you threw a punch at a representative of the law.
Well, you're not the sheriff.
No, I'm the next best thing to a sheriff that this town has. Right now, your uncle is out of town. So, me and Mr. What's the name of the other guy again?
Edmund Reed.
Edmund Reed. Me and Mr. Reed are both the only faces that the law has in this place.
Yeah, but his face is a much better one for being a member of the law than yours.
What's with all the personal attacks, Mr. Covington?
You're in my way.
I do believe the iron bars are in your way more than I am. They're doing a mighty fine job at keeping you in there.
This is merely temporary.
I mean, worst case scenario, your uncle comes back and he frees you and he gives me a good walloping.
I can't wait. And then maybe you'll be out of my way. And I'll be able to get what I want.
What do you want, Mr. Covington?
Well,
If you wanted to
I
be a
need
deputy,
To be a respectable member of the... Oh, no. I need to be a respectable member of this town. And there are multiple ways to do that, but the fastest and, well, the way that holds the most attraction for me involves the ownership of a small sundry store and, maybe a wedding?
Oh, you fancy Mrs. Coldwater. That's why you staring at her.
Miss.
That's why you staring at her from afar all the time with those disgusting toad-like eyes of yours.
I don't know that you're one to talk, deputy. I mean, I'm definitely better looking than you are.
Yeah, but between the two of us, Mr. Covington, I actually get to talk with Maisie, and I get to appreciate her company, and I get to not look at her like some sort of freak, and she respects me, I hope, and I respect her. That's something you'll probably never get through that thick skull of yours.
But again, eventually you'll be out of my way. I have ways. I know people. I'm sure I can do it.
Is this a threat, Mr. Covington?
Oh no, deputy. I would never threaten you. You're not worth my time to threaten.
You know, if Maisie just says the word, we can make sure you never get close to her ever again.
And what word would that be, deputy? Because this is still a city in New Mexico territory, in this fine town, and I still have the ability and protection of the law. So, what do you think you can do?
Make sure you're never in a position to call yourself a good, upstanding citizen of Four Corners. And I don't need to threaten anyone to do that. People are gonna see you for who you are. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a poker game to attend to.
I can't wait for you to come back and tell all of us about how much money you done lost.
Oh, I don't intend on losing anything.
You playing poker with Bruce Taggart, you're gonna lose.
He playing poker with me.
We'll see. I can't wait to see you come back destroyed.
Have yourself a good day, Mr. Covington.
And as you walk out of the jail, the sun has begun to set by this point. The shadows have grown long across the street. And riding up to the livery stable is one June Chan. Looking... Well, how is June looking, Kiana?
There we go. Mute buttons are hard. She's looking a little more sour-faced than she usually is. As she rides back into town. As she gets to the stable, she slides off and, make sure to get the horses all taken care of. But she's had a long day and with no success, and she would like to take the edge off of things. So she's probably going to head towards the saloon.
Miss Chan.
Good evening, Deputy. How can I help you?
Nothing. I'm not having any issues at the moment. I just thought I might ask you how your day went by. Saw you heading out of town all decked out with all of your pistols and gear.
Well, it could have been a little more productive. It was, trying to touch down somebody, but, thought I'd get back into town before the sunset.
It's a mighty good idea. We, I think we caught another one of them victims from that thing we talked to you about at the lake's house.
Another one. Alright.
It, emptied out of blood, he was.
Well, can't say I know any natural ways that would have happened, so I'm gonna assume it's something supernatural.
It's what we all think, except for Dr. Anders. He, clings to the theory of, grizzly bears or giant mosquitoes.
Right. Giant mosquitoes that can take the entire blood worth of a person. And she'll kind of look him up and down. How are you doing, Deputy? Anyways, I know that it's these things are a little difficult to get your head around.
As long as I can fell them with my 6-shooter. I don't think being much of a pacifist is gonna help in this instance.
Well, she'll kind of clap him on the shoulder. You're learning.
Yeah. Also learning that, maybe not everything is as it seems here in Four Corners.
Well, that seems to be the unfortunate thing. I came here to find some peace and quiet and, well, I don't know if I call strange deeds and creatures peace and quiet.
Well, there are some mighty interesting fellows here at the saloon tonight. I don't know where they come from, but they came packing. Look like some of the Pinkerton boys. Assured me there were none and they weren't looking for trouble.
Hmm. Well, I was heading over to the saloon myself. I think I'm gonna see what these boys are up to.
I was on my way. Mind if I accompany you, Miss Chan?
I don't think I could stop you.
Unlike some of the other townsfolk here, I'm one to understand the meaning of no.
It's a good word to know. Let's head up the saloon.
Then I'll head to.
And Maisie, while you're keeping your eye out for your daddy, you see the deputy and June mosey their way in towards the saloon. You see the doc with his bag, carrying it down, walking into the saloon. Unfortunately, you don't see your daddy.
I think at first Maisie is a little nervous, but she decides to lock up and go head over to the saloon, figuring that maybe Daddy's just late. Can do that sometimes. And at least then she'll be inside to stop him when he gets there. She doesn't want anything going down without her seeing it.
Purely a point of clarification for everyone. Is anyone going to tell June what happened beyond the dead man?
I think we should catch her up on what's happened.
Yeah, we'll fill her in on Wilford.
Wilford, everything that happened?
Wilford was dead. Well, yeah, also including the special whiskey made its way to the saloon with the weird Greek alphabet on it that we didn't really... I don't know what was written on it or what was said. It sounded all like Greek to me. But you can always check with Maisie. I think Miss Coldwaters is very educated in them tongues and in other languages of the world. She's a worldly lady. Yeah. And I don't know. I took a sip of that whiskey. It was the best whiskey I've ever had in my life. And then I think I passed out. And I relived the worst moments of my life.
Must be one hell of an alcohol.
I don't.
All right.
Maisie kept a bottle of it if you want to try it out.
I'll probably pass on the mystery alcohol. I'd like to know where my booze comes from, mostly.
I think it was a Tennessee whiskey.
Right.
Kentucky
Alright.
bourbon.
It was bourbon. I'm not keen on knowing them alcohols.
As long as it gets you where you want to be.
The quicker it kills my liver, the best it is.
And would Maisie catch up to them to hear the tail end of this conversation?
Yep.
And she's just like, it was weird. You don't remember what it said? It was 3 hours ago.
Reckon I fell on my head. There was a thing about praise the something and then obey the whatchamacallit.
It was praise him, serve her, blood always. Which is damn near the weirdest thing I've ever heard on a bottle of bourbon.
That sounds a little more ominous than I think I would like my alcohol labels to have.
Yeah, and somebody over here decided just to go and drink it.
In my defense, I couldn't read what was written on the label.
Did you drink it after Miss Coldwater here translated or before?
I think it was roughly around the same time.
Don't worry, there was a doctor present, so he had medical supervision.
And I had the priest over as well in case I died and I had to move on.
Last rites would have been served.
Yeah. June will just like put a hand on his shoulder.
And what does that leave for me to do? Clean him up off the floor?
Well, I mean, we have undertakers to take care of that. I would actually be very remiss if I were to pass out, or I should say pass away on your floor, Miss Coldwater. I would not want to sully an establishment such as yours with my decrepit body.
I thank you for the consideration.
I apologize for almost dying in your store.
Right, maybe this will teach you not to drink mystery alcohol out of a weird bottle.
I don't know, it's as if the person controlling all of my actions seemed to be on some sort of brand that he needs to put everything in his mouth in every game he's in. Oh no, I broke the fourth wall again.
I don't think it exists anymore in your head, Simon.
We at the saloon?
Yep. Walking towards the saloon. By this point, the lights of the western setting sun have grown, instead of purples, to dark dark blues and purples, and the stars are coming out. You can hear inside a raucous crowd as the music's playing, the booze is flowing, and a high-stakes gambling game has been spread around town to be occurring slightly later this evening. This would probably be the highlight for most folks, maybe a couple weeks even, maybe a month. Something different has come to town. And as you walk into the saloon, you see, well, a number of fine folk enjoying themselves. If anyone wants to roll me that spot hidden, we can just get a general lay of the land.
I can certainly try. And fail. Oh god.
You know, I think I might just spin the 2 and...
No, you passed.
Oh, okay. No, can we spin it down and make it a hard success, or...?
You can go down to 5 and spend 5 and make it a hard success.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. So...
Is it a tie that makes it a hard success, or you have to beat it?
No, if you roll a 32, it would be a hard success as well.
I mean, it's only 1 luck point.
It's one for Maisie, 5 for me, so...
Yeah.
I don't know what your luck looks like, though. My luck's alright.
I'm
So-
good. Maisie will spend it.
Okay.
So
I'll let Maisie-
you're
I'll
going
let
to
Maisie
spend a luck to make it a hard success. I figure by this point, the deputy and the bounty hunter are still focused in their conversation from outside, and Maisie's been looking for her daddy and trying to find him, and the doctor, well, he has a very focused institution and constitution and ideology, and he really wants to be aware of everything that's going on in his town and making sure that everything makes sense. You see a number of folk in this bar. You entering through the batwing doors to the dusty saloon floor. Your boots ring out on the hardwood as you approach the bar. Behind the bar right now is Mr. Bruce Taggart. Maisie! Welcome in! Your daddy's sitting in the corner over there. We've been having ourselves a grand old time.
How long has he been here? I managed to miss him.
Oh, since about lunchtime.
Oh, long day for Daddy.
Oh yeah, we've been having ourselves a grand old time. You also see standing in the back corner, trying to look inconspicuous, Miss one Edmund Reed, kind of leaning into the shadows, watching everyone as they come in and kind of looking quizzically at who walked in with the two of you. You see seated at a green felt table off to the side of the piano player and close to the corner where Mr. Taggart gestured that Richard Coldwater was sitting. You see a individual with only one arm seated, Dr. Thomas Jackson. Again, the gentleman is very noticeable, and he's even manipulating a deck of cards in his left hand. His right having been lost as a casualty to, his service to the Army of the Potomac. And you see coming down the stairs the new figure, again, Mr. Benjamin Adams, or was it Doctor? The taller gentleman with that odd, almost British accent that he had, with that bright maroon coat, and he's lost his hat, so his very old-fashioned stylings of his hair is noticeable. You do see something interesting. You see that Mr. Taggart is being very particular about who's being poured what alcohol. And he seems to be taking a glance at certain individuals and shifting bottles around behind the bar based on who's ordering, even if they're ordering the same thing.
Do I see any of the bottles that look like the one that we had behind the bar?
You don't see any of them yet. You do see a lot more you see some of the packing crate off in the corner that has that same symbol that was, icon, image, there's the word, image that was embossed on the labels that you have of that cattle skull horns with the snake wiving through it. Off to the side, slightly behind the bar, almost as if somebody took it off the bar and kind of set it down just inside where the bartender would be walking behind.
And I think Maisie would probably lean into the doc, because he's a sensible, logical man. He's not the type to jump to conclusions.
Why do I feel attacked?
And she'd just lean into the dock and say, well, I don't know if he's pouring any of that stuff that we saw, but it's odd that Uncle Taggart would be so careful about the drinks. Normally he's got the bottle he pours from until it's gone.
I understand. Perhaps maybe we should try and get a look at the crate and see if it's still full of those bottles. The only thing I could think of would be that he's maybe swapped the whiskey in the bottles behind the bar.
Well, I guess if some of those bottles are empty, we'd know. I mean, I can go and try and get him to chat with me for a while if...
Probably not a bad idea. See if you can chat up Bruce, and I'll head over and see if I can have a look at the crate.
Make sure you have something to say in case anybody points you out. Checking for scorpions or something.
Miss Coldwater, that is a brilliant idea. I will keep that in mind.
And Maisie would head up to Bruce and start talking to him, basically just be like, now, Uncle Taggart, how dare you keep Daddy here all day long? You know about how him and Mama have been, about him spending so much time down here?
The gentleman had himself a very bad day, and he needed to console his issues.
What kind of very bad day?
Exactly the kind of bad day that you're thinking. You know, he had to get away from certain individuals. I think, and he kind of leans into you, kind of close. I think, honestly, since they're not at the store anymore, he's realizing your mama's realizing that he needs something to occupy his time, and well, they was having themselves a little bit of a sit-to, and he decided it might be better to come in and talk to me. But we'll figure it out. It's fine. They're just getting settled in their, retirement. Honestly, I never thought Richard would retire.
I mean,
I thought he'd die behind that counter over there.
Yeah, you'd think. Then he, one too many slips off the ladder makes somebody start thinking about their immortal life.
Yes, it is. That is a definite way to be concerned about yourself. And, oh, deputy, you came in. I knew you was are you gonna join us for a game? As he looks behind your shoulder and notices that, George and June have walked in the door.
Oh yeah, Mr. Taggart, just don't let my presence hinder that conversation you had with Maisie. I'll just mosey on over to the table.
Oh yeah, they're over there. Maisie, now, why are you here?
Everybody else is here. Why wouldn't I be? It's not like anybody's gonna come into the store. I don't got anything else to do.
Uh-huh.
Plus, I had to see if you were keeping Daddy in or out of trouble.
I don't know what you mean. Your father and I have never, in any way, shape, or form, gotten ourselves in trouble.
Sure. Make sure you're not giving him...
opinion on that might be very different. But your daddy and I understand exactly what's going on.
Just make sure you're not giving him anything too crazy to drink.
Your daddy has drunk the same thing his entire life. Kentucky bourbon straight. I haven't changed a thing on the bottle I've ever handed that man. I'm sure if he ordered something else, the world might end. Why? Did your mama say something?
I think she's just tired of him getting home a little too late, a little too, in the bottle.
Well, I can... Nah, well, I can try and limit how much I pour the man, but... Come on,
just
we're having some fun, Maisie.
Just be...
It's not the end of the world.
Yeah, it's not going to be the end of the world if you take an extra couple of minutes in between walking over there either.
Fine. I understand. You're looking after your daddy. You're a good girl, Maisie. Why don't you have yourself a nice gentleman caller lately? That Covington boy's a good hand, I heard.
Oh, sorry. Could you feel my disgust?
Hey. Boy's got money. About the only other eligible bachelor in this town would be the doctor or the deputy.
Yeah, well, at minimum, that Covington boy, he's got too much pompous on him.
He been saying something to you?
He's been creepy.
Well, now you should have told me that, and I would have ensured that the gentleman... We can do something about that. Why didn't you say anything about that?
Because I can handle myself. And besides, that's exactly what he wants. He wants me to think that I can't handle myself, so that I can make him a nice little wife.
Honestly, I mean, Maisie, you're a good girl, and you make some fine gentleman some fine wife someday, but I don't think that's ever going to be your lot in life, to be some sweet little nothing sitting at home. You're
Yeah,
way too smart for
exactly.
that.
Exactly
Yeah,
why I'm
that-
not interested in that Covington boy.
Well, I hear things behind this bar. You understand that? And hearing that certain individuals might be able to increase their ability to finance and secure themselves. I like
What
to
do
share that information with important people.
What do you mean?
You keep your
What?
weather out, of that boy.
Okay. Don't you have anything better to do than to gossip about my love life?
Yes, I gotta pour these fine people some drinks, and in about an hour, I'm get to play myself some nice poker. You know, there's one for you. That Dr. Adams fella. There's one for you, Maisie.
Oh, Uncle, you just don't quit, do you?
What? I gotta help out my niece somehow. Don't got any children of my own. Gotta look after you.
Help me out by being a little slower when you're pouring for Daddy,
Fine,
so that I don't
fine,
have to deal with it.
fine. Yeah, all right. I won't pour. We'll take an extra round in between when we pour for your daddy. Am I getting you anything today?
Not at the moment. I'm sure I'll be back though.
All right then. You know Doc Thomas and his table and in the back.
Hmm.
Well, there's some extra seats over behind in the kind of over in the corner. Deputy Reed's secured himself a pillow over there, but that'd probably be the best place to watch me win some serious money off these folk. Or your daddy lose his money. Either one is gonna happen.
I guess then I'll go sit over there.
So while this conversation is going on, Doctor, would you like to roll stealth to see if you can get into that case of liquor?
Oh, this ought to be good. Yeah, sure. Let's. Oh, wow, that's actually not bad. I will spend the 6 to succeed there.
You're gonna spend the 6 to succeed.
I will spend the 6 to succeed there.
The doctor spends a lot. But yes, you can kind of slide your way over to the bar and just kind of slide your hand along the bar as you go, and you see that it's kind of on the ground, and you reach down, and what are you looking for? What are you doing?
Just checking to see if the top layer of bottles, or if any, are empty, or if they're all still full and intact. Just to see
Looking
maybe if he's poured any of the alcohol into the bottles behind the bar.
Looking behind into the case itself, you see that it is empty. The crate is empty.
So all the bottles have been taken out. I think we said there was about, 30 bottles? Well,
There are 30 bottles,
20
and there were various
29.
packings.
Okay.
Well, there are 29 bottles. Y'all have one.
We have one. And at that point, I'll look over at Maisie and just kind of give her those eyes of... And then I'm going to make my way over to George.
Well, Miss June, what are you going to do entering this fine establishment?
I'm gonna look for those strange people that have wandered in town she hadn't seen yet.
The only one strange person that you haven't seen yet.
Yeah, the one strange person.
The one strange person. You see him actually walking down this, as you enter, walking down the stairs from the second floor. His very obvious bright maroon coat, kind of the color of rich Merlot wine. Very well tailored, very well put together. Large ascot with a large stick pin in it. Very obvious gemstone of some sort. You can't quite tell from this distance in the low light of the saloon. Carrying himself a walking stick, and you've been informed by the deputy that he is very well armed. want anything else, you're gonna have to roll a spot hidden on him.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that roll. Let's see if it goes better this time. Extreme.
You notice, as you are trained to do, and notice the security around you, the gentleman is wearing 2 shoulder-holstered revolvers, one of which is a peacemaker. Slightly odd for a gentleman to have shoulder-holstered, and you're slightly concerned that, well, that might cause a right mess in this place.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who do not know, a peacemaker is a cult weapon created during the war with an extended barrel and rifling along the barrel. It makes a big old mess.
Yeah,
It
so
does tap
she
your arm.
Big ol' mess being the technical term.
You also notice, with that extreme success, that the stick that he's using as a walking stick has a very interesting slight metallic gleam right around the handle.
looking like a hidden blade over there or something.
You notice that his sleeve, while very well tailored on his right sleeve, is slightly bulging. And given the way you're looking up at him up the stairs as he comes down, it glints just enough that you can see the Derringer spring-loaded in his sleeve.
All right.
Jesus. Here goes
This
my
guy's about as
cheating.
armed as June is at any given point.
And you notice sitting in the top left-hand portion of his boot, a knife.
Yeah, so she knows these are places to look for.
Yeah.
And so she's just kind of like, she's walked in and everyone has kind of started the conversations and she just watches him kind of under from the brim of her hat before going to the bar, and she's going to order a couple of shots or drinks. She's gonna take the 2 drinks and she's going to go sit wherever this fine gentleman is seating himself.
As you go to order these drinks, you notice that the gentleman is staring very intently at you, kind of cataloging you and all of the weapons that you're carrying and where you may have hidden them. You also know, as you take these drinks, Bruce Taggart is like, Miss Chan! I haven't seen you in here in a while. How you doing? Now, let me get that for you. And he kind of goes down, rummages up, comes up with a bottle, pours you 2 shots, slides them over to you.
Well, I'm doing all right. Good to see the saloon is still in one piece after that brawl out there.
Well, nobody's ever broke my windows.
I mean, I'm a little bit still in the doghouse for doing that.
Did somebody actually... I knew I heard, but did you actually throw somebody through Lady Goodnight's windows? I heard that they broke. I didn't think you actually threw somebody through them.
Well, I mean, when you gotta kick people out, you gotta kick people out. Although, well, I'm, yeah, a little bit in the doghouse for that.
Well, I'm sure she'll get over it eventually. Want me to have some of the boys come over and bring you... We'll put in... I know some folk, and we can get you a new window right quick in a hurry, if you need it.
I think the lady would appreciate that. There's only so much that a few boys will do to make a place looking all pretty again.
Well, we're about to start this game in a minute, and you see him gesture over, and the gentleman who had come down the stairs is now seated himself at the green felt table with Dr. Jackson. And you see Mr. Coldwater has moved himself over and started shaking hands with the new gentleman and clapping Dr. Thomas on the shoulder and seating himself at the table as Bruce makes his way. Well, you'll excuse me, I'm about to go win some money off some fine, fine folk.
I may do myself in a little later.
Always welcome to take another person's money. We're gonna have ourselves a right nice old time.
Yeah, and she'll smile. And she's gonna, June's gonna go over to that corner and kind of lean herself up against the wall to watch the game.
Mm-hmm. As you do, you notice that Edmund Reed has shifted himself slightly so that he can see, so that he's standing line in sight with all of that he can see the table, the door to the front, the door to the back, and most of the room. Something he's used to doing almost every night, ensuring that he has the best line of sight and can control the most people the best easily.
Mhm.
So, Doctor, you're not going to play.
Ew.
Maisie has moved herself over so that she could watch. June's moved herself over so she can watch. That just leaves the deputy.
Who's about to be witness losing a shit ton of money. Let's do this. Yeehaw.
So, you sit down.
Hi,
Well,
fellas.
as you approach,
And as George is sitting down and I'm making my way over to where June and Maisie are, I'm going to lean in and just quietly tell George, all that booze was in that crate. It's not there anymore. You might want to keep your eyes open for any of that crazy behavior we saw.
That's why I ain't drinking tonight, Doctor.
Makes two of us. And I'll make my way on back to where Maisie and June are.
as you approach the table, Thomas Jackson looks at you, George, and says, George, are you going to join us? This will be great. I haven't had the opportunity to take your money in years.
I haven't had the opportunity of taking yours either, mister.
Well, you would know Thomas. He's the,
No, I'm just calling him mister.
Oh, you're just going to call him Mister?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
It's like, I'm not gonna say dude.
okay. All right. He's not going to be real offended by the fact that he just kind of looks at you like, okay, thought we were friends. Fine.
We are. Now stop being all stuck up and just sit down so we can get the plane.
Oh, I'm not stuck up. All right, then. It'll be grand. We'll be fine. We'll play this and it'll be fine. Have you met Mr. Adams? Oh, Dr. Adams. He's a surgeon.
That's the guy packing all that, right?
You met him earlier today.
Yeah, I reckon we got ourselves acquainted, what was it? This morning?
Yeah, I came in on the afternoon stage. It was a pleasant experience. And at this point, you see Bruce Taggart arrive with a bottle in one hand and 4 glasses. I can count, right? I can do math.
There's
4 glasses.
Thomas, the surgeon, myself,
Adams.
and Bruce.
So 4. You and bottle and 4 glasses. And he's gonna set it down. And well, folks, we're about to have ourselves a little bit of a party. As we have our dear guest. We're gonna start with Dr. Adams, would you be a gentleman and cut the first deck and shuffle it out? game is standard 5-card draw, gentlemen. Ace is high, deuce is wild. And he's going to pour each of you a shot and slide them out towards you. As Dr. Adams picks up the deck and starts shuffling it. Very, very adroitly, actually.
If I give my glass a sniff, does it smell like the cursed whiskey? Cursed bourbon?
Nope.
Alrighty then. I'll put the glass down.
Smells slightly better than his usual fare that he serves. But it's not what you imbibed earlier today.
Good enough.
So the doctor proceeds to shuffle and cut the deck and slides the deck over to Bruce, who's going to deal the first hand. He deals out the first hand. We're just gonna do this on psychology and luck rolls.
Yeah, because I was gonna say, if we play an actual game of poker, that's gonna take a while.
That would take way too long. And he looks at you and says, well, we're all here. Let's play some poker. The first couple hands are easy enough. Money's shifting in and out. There's a $10 ante every pot. As you go.
I thought you were gonna say 100.
Oh no. We're not there yet. It's a opening salve you. Then you get a couple hands in, and it's been pretty split between Bruce and Thomas. Bruce is alright. Warm up is over. Let's play some real poker. $50 ante raises by 10. And you see Thomas look at him and kind of nod. And then you see him kind of look over at you. And by him, I mean Thomas. Kind of look over at you for a second.
Y'all thinking that just because I'm not a doctor, I don't have fancy money?
Oh no, I know you got right. I know you have right fancy money. It's not the problem. And it's not even a problem. As he just kind of slides a glass. Well, you can't do that. Hold on. He puts his hand down, picks up his glass to take a drink, and then sets it back down.
Did he take a drink?
Roll that spot hidden.
I mean, with the luck I've been having. Sure, whatever.
He definitely moved the glass. You can question it if you want. Your own thought process on that is your own choice. But you're not sure. And he looks at you for a second, puts the glass back down, kind of slides it a little bit out of his reach, picks up the hand of cards. Taps him down. I fold this hand. And you see Bruce raise, and he turns to you and says, "So, Mr. Deputy, are you in or are you out?"
Before I reply, I think I want to try psychology on Thomas.
You want to do psychology on Thomas?
Yeah, I want to know. So I know he folded and everything, but I think it's part of a, I don't know, play he has.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I'm trying to get a read on the table.
You're trying to get a read on the table.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think that's more like it's more likely what I'm trying to do.
Okay. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Okay. So, what I was going to say is for Thomas, you can roll with advantage
Oh,
because you're friendly with him.
that would be the other button. Fuck it. No, wait,
no,
it's the second one. It's the
you get a
22.
hard success.
So it's a hard success.
It's a hard success. You roll with an extra die, you get a hard success. You know him, you know that he did, he is not someone to shirk from anything. The gentleman plays poker by himself at night. Well, plays poker as a living with one arm in a bar in Four Corners, New Mexico, and was a competent surgeon during the war. You notice that as he kind of glanced at you and put the glass down, the way he looks at you as he tapped out the hand and slid the glass away, he kind of gestures with his head towards where he knows Edmund is standing. As if he is concerned about something at this table and wants you to be aware of it.
Wait a second. Edmund got he got himself a seat overlooking the table, and he's sitting with his back to a column, right?
Mm-hmm. Edmund's standing kind of where June is. The two of them are kind of standing over here. The table's here, and that gives them line of sight for, the door, the bar, and the rest of the room.
But wouldn't that give him also line of sight to some of our hands?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, the person that he's kind of most standing behind is Bruce, but Edmund isn't one who's going to be, he's not trying to cheat. And you know that Edmund Reed and Thomas Jackson are very good friends.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the same way that June and Lady Goodnight are very good friends.
Yeah. I'm just... He might be actually helping his friend win at poker sometimes. I'm just unsure.
That's not what Thomas is trying to tell you. If you want to take that thought, that's...
Okay. But he motioned with his head in a direction, though. The direction that Edmund was standing.
Yeah. He put the glass... went to take a sip.
Mm-hmm.
Goes to put the glass... He takes a sip. He puts the glass down. He shifts his hand to slide the glass a little bit out of his reach towards Edmund. Puts his deck down, folds, and nods towards Edmund.
And what's Edmund doing during that time?
He's staring slightly intently at Bruce Taggart, although he's kind of paying attention to the rest of the room, too.
Then I think I'll fold.
When you fold, Taggart then says, "Well, it's a two-man game." And he turns to look at Dr. Adams, who very nonchalantly picks up the glass with the whiskey that's been poured, looks at it and says, "Well, I appear to be a little bit short. Another round, Mr. Taggart, before I take your money from you, sir." "Not a problem, sir. Not a problem. I'm more than happy to pour you another one." He reaches over and picks up the bottle that's been sitting on the table. Goes to pours it over for Mr. Taggart, or for Dr. Adams. And you notice something. This isn't hard to notice because you said specifically that you did not drink.
Mm-hmm.
So your glass is still sitting there in front of you. What Bruce Taggart pours into Dr. Adams' glass does not look like what's sitting in front of you. Thank you, sir. That is a kindness. Thank you, sir. That is a kindness, and I do appreciate it. Now, to your health. And he knocks it back and flips the glass over. Mr. Taggart, I do believe I'm going to raise you 200. And Bruce Taggart kind of is slightly taken aback by this. I mean, you'd been up, the pot right now is sitting at maybe 200. Adams just doubled it based on antes and bets that were on. Well, I can definitely, yeah, of course. Let's do this. And he kind of, Taggart kind of looks at both doctors and then kind of looks at you and reaches in his pocket and throws 200 more, or shoves in a couple more $200 worth of chips. And Adams throws in 200 and goes, "Your raise, sir, or you just calling? Or your raise, sir, or are you just calling?" "Well, no, I'm just gonna call Dr. Adams." And Bruce puts out 2 pair queens high. And slowly but surely, Adams flips over straight flush. "Do believe that pot is mine, Mr. Taggart." And he reaches over and just kind of slides a hand, the full pot in. By this point, Thomas is looking very... He's shifted his position, his hand's no longer on the table, and he's kind of reaching towards his side, kind of rubbing at his shoulder, making it kind of like this. Edmund has shifted his position and is now looking at you.
I feel like they're speaking in secret code to one another, trying to, I don't know, deliver a message between the two of them. Could I try, knowing my rough past, is this something that through psychology I could get a beat on?
I will say, because you work in this field and because you work with Edmund every day, even if your shifts don't always overlap, you could roll a psychology against him with advantage, or +1.
Extreme this time.
Ooh, yeah, that's a great.
I know him in and out.
He wants your attention, and he's concerned about something at the table. And he's concerned about something that might go very poorly in the very near future.
Figure.
The next hand's dealt. Do you ante in?
Yep.
You ante in.
I'm gonna keep an eye on our new friend, though.
Richard Clearwater, who sits himself next to you and just kind of claps you on the shoulder. "Deputy, I think this is now my time to buy you around, isn't it?" And he throws in $50 ante as he sits down.
Why, thank you.
"Bruce, I'm buying one for the deputy. Well, I'll buy one for the whole table." And Maisie, you see your daddy sit down at the table very congenially and throw ante in, and you see Bruce say, "Well, it's time for a new bottle." He gets up, gestures to who's ever waiting behind the bar for him at the moment. Bring over second bottle. Pull this one, throw this out, and it's empty. And goes, "You gentlemen have empty glasses. I need, well, Deputy, are you going to continue, or well, you got a glass," and he's going to pour one out of this new bottle for Dr. Thomas, Dr. Thomas, Dr. Adams, Dr. Jackson, Dr. Adams, Richard Coldwater. You still have some in your glass, and you notice that Bruce does not pour for himself, although his glass isn't all the way empty, it's just not full.
Yeah, I think I'll just nurse mine.
Mm-hmm.
Since it didn't smell like the spiced bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
I'll nurse mine to keep, appearances up that I'm I'm one of the boys.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if you knew how to gamble, you knew that you would know not to drink. But anyway.
Theoretically. Although you do have to remember that there's a certain level of 6 of 1 social drinking that would have occurred.
Yes. Also, I've been poisoned a few hours earlier, so...
You definitely ingested something you weren't supposed to. Don't know that you were actually poisoned. In the technical sense.
That's what
But
George...
you notice that Richard Clearwater picks up the glass, nods to Bruce, takes a large sip, and this is real good, Bruce. Is this a new one? Why, yes, actually. Theodore ordered it before he passed. I figured, in honor of our new guest, this would be a great thing to be trying out. And Adams simply, well, if it's something new and entertaining, I should definitely try some. And he takes a big, long drink. This is very nice. Where is this from? I honestly don't know. Theodore ordered it and had it delivered, and came in from him, and it was a surprise and a pleasure to get it the day after his funeral, I do have to say, but I thought it might be a time for us to be serving it. Well, this is an honor to him. To Theodore! And you hear a number of people around.
Yeah, I mean, I'll partake in the toast, seeing how I have the regular glass anyway.
Mm-hmm. And everybody drinks. You notice, as you're now watching very intently, and it's easy to see based on these psychology rules, that Thomas is not drinking anywhere near as obvious as everyone else. And if he is drinking at all, it's very small amounts.
Yeah, keeping up with what I'm doing, basically.
Yep. And the next hand is dealt. The hand is dealt. This time, the pot ends up going to Coldwater. Clears a good $500, $700 in that pot. Adams and Taggart got high into the raises before Coldwater pulled out a interesting straight from the inside straight. Man drew to the inside straight, something you never see. But after a couple other hands, by this point, Richard Coldwater is slightly friendly and says, well, gentlemen, I've been here the better part of the day, and I can see my daughter glaring at me across the table. I see you, Maisie. I'm gonna take my money and bow out from you fine folk and go keep my wife company.
And Maisie just calls at him, thanks for upping my inheritance, Pa.
Do what I can for you, honey. Y'all have a good night. Hey, deputy, would you mind walking my daughter home at the end of the evening? I'm sure she could use a gentleman to protect her.
Would be my absolute pleasure, Richard.
And he kind of looks over the deputy's shoulder at you, Maisie, and goes, and
that went
right over Simon or right over George?
Right over Simon. I forgot that he was going, and I was like, oh, he's just making sure that she doesn't get, harassed by douche Covington.
Covington's in the jail.
Yeah. 100% of my focus for the past half hour has been trying to decipher what Deirdre's saying, and I'm like, something's deep. There's something deep, and there might just not be anything.
Well, there are people who definitely think that there's something.
Huh?
And people are both friendly with you. June, you're standing next to Edmund, right?
Yep, that's correct. And I'm keeping a very, very close eye on a brand new friend here.
Uh-huh. He's gonna, and you can see, as you're keeping that close eye, that, and reading the table, go ahead and make a psychology roll on the table. As a general roll for the table.
Psychology. I'm gonna spend that 3 luck.
Just a general read of the emotion of the table. You see that Bruce Taggart is, that full-on retail bartender, waiter, let me be the most center of attention, make sure everybody's welcome, everybody's feeling good, but, not really your best friend kind of, that wonderful, why, of course it looks fabulous on you. If you really wanted, I can get you a shirt in exactly that color. Then we can just kind of give it a little bit more shape. It'll look even better than what you've got on. That classic retail smile, and we've all done. You notice that the two doctors, Thomas and Benjamin Adams, Benjamin Adams being the new gentleman in town with all of the hardware, are friendly and actually congenial to each other. They're swapping back stories about things, times that they may have met previously. They talk briefly, although not extensively, about their time during the recent unpleasantness. And you notice, you're seeing George and begin to see his questioning of things. And you notice Jackson's subtle trying to communicate with George, and you notice Edmund's shift his position, and he kind of leans towards you.
And he says, George is completely hopeless.
No. Miss Chan, I do believe, somebody's having some concerns at the table, I believe. Thomas is more,
on edge.
obvious in his attempts to garner the attention of other people at the table.
Right. I was gonna say, otherwise, I would recommend they stay away from poker. All right.
Do you have... And he begins to kind of shift his eyes from the table to look around the room, and see what's been going on around him. And he notices, by this point, Richard is waving goodbye to Maisie, the doctor who's still watching what's going on. And you notice a number of people have started to clear out. It's gotten late in the evening. Very late. Pushing like 10, 11 o'clock at night. And in this time of night, it's dark out. Most folk who have to go any further than across the street or down the street have definitely gone home, don't want to be riding in the dark. Get your horse messed up that way. And you notice that most of the folk who are still left in the bar are the hard scrapple sort who are, not really always considered polite or good townsfolk.
Yeah. So I'll lean into Edmund a little bit more again. Just be like, if something happens, I'll take that side of the table, and you take the other.
Of course. Try not to hurt Benjamin too much. Thomas thinks he's a friend.
Very interesting choices of friends there.
And he kind of leans even closer into you and goes, to be honest, Benjamin managed to save Thomas's life after, well... And, even though he couldn't save the arm...
All right. Let's just keep an eye out. Keep an eye out.
I'm concerned about George.
Other than the fact that he's a little oblivious to whatever's happening over there.
The fact that he lost 3 hands, but no, that's not a big one. Thomas is concerned about something, but I don't know what.
All right. Well, make sure that if things escalate, it's just quiet back down.
As we do. And he's going to shift a little bit, sliding himself towards... Let me rephrase this. You said you're going to take one side of the table. What side of the table are you going to take?
The side where Benjamin is on.
Okay, so you've got 4 people sitting at a table if you figure that George, Bruce, Thomas, Benjamin, kind of
Yeah,
like
so
that.
George and Benjamin is kind of like that corner.
You're going to go shift to the George and Benjamin side. Edmund's going to shift to the Thomas and Bruce side. All right. Doctor, you see this shift in the watchers of this poker game. You going to try anything?
I'm going to observe which way June's going and kind of interject myself probably between Edmund and June.
Okay. So
And
kind
then-
of like they're moving this way and you're sliding up in the middle?
Yeah.
All right.
And then,
Kind of taking their position against the wall.
yeah, and then at the same time, I'm kind of checking the folks at the table and seeing if anybody's showing any of the symptoms that we were seeing from, I guess, Simon's experience with the booze.
Want to roll me that medicine check? You can.
Oh, that was a rough one.
You can't see anything from here.
Yeah.
It's too dark. The candles are lit, but there isn't a whole lot of gas. There are beginnings of gas lights behind the bar, but Bruce Taggart has not expended the amount of money to put them up in his chandeliers. There's some very nice candles in there, and some candles dotted around the tables, but he is not putting up gas oil lamps any more than he has to. What's Maisie doing?
Would Maisie know where Bruce Taggart's office is? Where one might keep receipts for this case of booze?
Yep. You are very aware that it currently would be, from where you're sitting watching it, it'd be back behind the stairwell, small door back there.
I think Maisie might just kind of casually get up, like she's kind of stretching, head over towards the bar, like she's going to order something. And knowing that kerfuffle seems to be about to occur, wants to position herself to use it as an opportunity to go poke around in the office.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, so you're going to be moving here so that you can go over here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. George, the next hand is dealt.
Mm-hmm.
You notice that Bruce goes to pour everyone another drink. Notices that you and Thomas both are sipping on yours. He goes, well, that's fine. And you notice that Benjamin goes, it's real nice. It's real nice of you, sir. I really do appreciate it. It's very, very nice. Where did you? I must get the name of this company. Do you? And Thomas, this almost tastes like that gentleman from Virginia. You remember when we were in DC that week before the unpleasantness, and we had that gentleman from Virginia and we took his bottle from him. Do you recall? And you see Thomas go, yes, of course I recall it. Something I would fondly remember. And you're right, this bottle could almost be as good as that. Company's definitely better. George, I could honestly say this is a very, very good bottle and definitely reminds me of being in Virginia in 1862.
Oh, if only Simon knew. Hey, I'm gonna pause the game and go on Wikipedia and look at what happened in Virginia.
Do you want your DM to just tell you?
Well, yes, please.
1862 was the first Battle of Manassas, as it is called by the states of the Confederacy, or the first Battle of Bull Run, as it is called by the United States. It is the battle where that the Union Army was convinced would be the end of the war. Excuse me, 1860, and was in riding distance from DC, so much so that ladies packed luncheons and a number of people went out to watch the battle from a hill overlooking it, as if it was entertainment, because they were convinced that the Army of the Potomac would win handily.
It's probably not the... anyway. Okay.
That did not happen. A certain gentleman well known, who will eventually become very well known in history, a Thomas Jackson of the Virginia regiments, the Army of Northern Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Lee rallies the troops of the broken line, and the North Carolinians and the Virginians stand there and say, becoming famous the world over, there stands Jackson like a stone wall, rallied behind the Virginians. Now.
So he's asking me to stonewall something.
He might asking you to maybe move in about a hot second. And you watch as Benjamin Adams goes to set the glass down very precisely, and he's looking straight at you, and just as he's about to stand up, and you're almost 100% positive do something extremely violent, two folk in the middle of the bar come crashing into your table.
What the
As an altercation at another table spills over, and the two folk wrestling just kind of crash all the way into the table collapses, and somebody goes to throw a swing at everybody in the bar.
Why? Why is it that there are bar fights every other day in this fucking town?
Because people get drunk and bored.
The same reason there's bar fights in the middle of nowhere in Georgia every day.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a thing.
Because there's nothing else to do.
People get drunk and bored. And then it's time to punch people.
And then it's time to punch people. June, I need you to make a dodge roll. Doctor, I need you to make a dodge roll. And George, I need you to make a dodge roll as your table collapses underneath you.
I was going to try to hypnotize the whole table, but fine. Extreme.
Oh yeah, it's easy enough for you to do. And as you go to dodge out of the way, you notice that Dr. Adams has moved very, very quickly and has dodged equally as fast as you, and is standing with a gun pointed directly at the two gentlemen wrestling on the middle of the table. Let's see. No, extreme success from the doctor. It's easy enough as these two gentlemen come flying in towards you, and you're very surprised because you weren't even aware that there was an altercation occurring. It's easy enough to slide yourself out of the way. June, it's easy. You see the whole thing occurring, and you get yourself out of the way. And what we end up with is an image of Dr. Benjamin Adams pointing a gun at two folk who've just broken a table. George, Thomas, the doctor sliding out of the way. And Maisie, where are you headed?
I do think that the second that things start to go south like she anticipated, that she would try and kind of sneak around the corner and see if she can poke into the office and
go ahead and make that stealth roll.
Could I argue that she's not trying to be sneaky? She's just putting on the air like she belongs here. Her presence at the bar is not weird.
Her presence at the bar isn't weird, but her presence in the back room where the accounts might be slightly strange. Particularly as the major owner of the bar is sitting at a table dealing with something in front of him.
Okay.
Well,
I just think like she grew up in this bar. She probably learned how to do accounts partially from Bruce Taggart, who probably taught her daddy. Like, it's not like...
It wouldn't be strange. I would just say that while Bruce might not be watching you, other people are.
Okay.
And other people may not have the same reaction that Bruce does. Because, well, they might know you. Because, let's also be honest, Edmund Reed is also watching this whole thing go down.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I rolled for it. And got a success.
And you got a success. And it's very easy for you to slide into that back room. You lived here, you're used to it. People are more focused on the fight of folk wrestling in a broken table at the moment. What are you looking for? You enter this room that's very, very clean. One desk. There's almost nothing on the desk. There's an ink blotter, a quill set, a fountain pen set in front of the ink blotter. Very large, heavy wood with 2 drawers on either side. A bookcase on one side that seems to be mostly just kind of decorative, not really. There are a couple books on them you can see are kind of almost ledger size, oversized, and not a whole lot. And you see a small gas lamp, oil lamp sitting on the table or on the desk.
Well, she'd probably look for the most recent ledger, the most recent account book, which might be out or in a top drawer. She probably even knows where it is or where it should be. And is just scanning it to see if there's anything from either today that talks about receiving these bottles, or that's an order slip, basically, or an order entry from when she estimates. I mean, they would have been, if they got here today, they would have been ordered before sometime between the last coach and when this coach would have left, and I think she would know what that time frame would need to be.
It's easy for you to find this ledger. It's actually sitting out on the bookshelf, on top. Bruce is a very organized individual, keeps things very neat and sturdy. And as you flip through it quickly towards the back to the most recent entries, you don't see any order invoices, but you do see a receipt invoice, and it is marked, and you see a note marked, ordered by T. Bradford, delivered today. 30, and you see it scratch out 29 bottles.
And does it have anything more about how much they cost or where they were from?
Mm-mm. He received this from someone else who ordered it from someone else. You see a note about, in like almost parentheses, fine in capital letters next to the whiskey.
Does she see any other orders from Bradford?
If you flip back through it, you notice a couple times a year there's almost random at points. You see other orders made by Theodore Bradford for various things, usually cases of whiskey.
And so nothing particularly unique about this case.
Nope. Now, if you want to know anything more about it from who ordered it, you'd have to ask who ordered it. Unfortunately, the gentleman is very dead.
Yes.
Or is he?
You put him in the ground yesterday.
And I think in Maisie's headcanon, she takes this as like proof that Bruce Taggart has nothing to do with any of this. And so she would, at this point, probably kind of put everything back where she found it, make some mental notes of what.
Hello, dog.
Hi, puppy. That's actually perfect timing, as just as you're about to pack yourself up and get out of here, you hear a gunshot into the roof of the bar. And for everyone else, you see Bruce Taggart holding his revolver, pointing it up, firing it, looks down at the two gentlemen wrestling on his floor, and says, "Party's over, gentlemen. Let's call it a night. Mr. Brooke, Mr. Deputy Brooke, Deputy Reed, would you mind getting this debris off of my floor? Mr. Benjamin, Dr. Adams, Dr. Jackson, maybe we should reschedule our game for another night."
That's a damn shame. I had the best hand of the night I had. All right,
I'm
Edmund.
sure.
Let's bring him in.
And
I think when
Edmund-
Maisie smiles at all of this, hears all of this, and she smiles, she's like, "Yep, that's where I got it from."
she Edmund reaches down and picks up one of the two gentlemen who are wrestling on the floor, and you can grab the other one, both of which look to be minors, maybe in town for the first time in a couple days, making a ruckus of themselves. Thomas just kind of smiles and nods and says, "Well, it's a shame. I was really looking forward to taking more of your money, Bruce. But, Ben, you and I, maybe we should have some... I'll pour you a drink while we wait for Edmund. Then we can have ourselves a nice, quiet evening." And Ben says, "Sounds like a plan, Thomas. Well, actually, Deputy, do you have a doctor to look at these individuals? I'm sure you must have a doctor in this town, right?"
I'll just turn to Dr. Anders.
It's important. I'm the local physician.
Ah, it's very pleasure to meet you. My name is Dr. Benjamin Adams.
Right.
It's a pleasure. And,
You're
well, if you're...
what, perhaps?
Surgery.
Oh,
I'm a surgeon. Well,
As am
I
I.
was a surgeon, and now I have a slightly different business in hand. Taking people's money.
noble profession.
Well, it's a very long one. Spent a lot of time doing it.
right, George, let's get these men on. We'll go look after them.
Have yourselves a pleasant evening. I'm going to. Well, I might actually just go and get some sleep. It was a pleasure playing with you, Deputy. I really look forward to doing so in the future. He reaches his hand to shake yours.
Shake it, yep. Me as well.
Evening. Bruce, I'm going to retire for the evening. And he goes off to retire, and Thomas gets up and just kind of looks at, nods to Edmund, smirks a little bit, nods to you, Brooke, just kind of looking at you very hard, nodding at you, and then goes back upstairs. And Bruce is pointing, have yourself a nice evening, y'all. Sorry, folks, the saloon is closed. If you need yourself another form of refreshment, Miss Chan can escort you down the street to her place of business. And that is where we're going to go on our break, folks.
All right, we'll be back in, 5-ish minutes?
Yeah.
It's going to be a short break.
Yep,
See you
short
later.
break.
And we are back. Hello.
Hello, all. Welcome back. And we are going to fast forward a little bit as our fine folk retire for the evening. Saloon closes down. Edmund and George take the scruffing miners back to the jail, which is getting a mite full at this point. You'll notice that Jedediah seems to be improving from whatever it is that he is suffering from. Sam over on the cot is definitely still in there. Doesn't even roll over to look at you. He's fast asleep. Jack and or John, whichever one's in your cell and not in the doctor's recovery room, is kind of nonchalant, sort of waves at you when you come in. And Joshua Covington ignores you entirely and turns to Edmund and says, I don't know how you put up with dealing with him. He's just such low class, isn't he? And Edmund, I'm sorry, Mr. Covington, who are you referring to?
I think he might be referring to me.
Ah.
See,
Well,
Mr. Covington doesn't really like me. Is what I gathered.
why? Now, why would that be? You're a very kind and interesting individual. Quite a pleasure working with you every day.
Well, thank you, Ed. I think he doesn't take a fancy to me because, well, might it just be because I accompanied Maisie Coldwater back to her place tonight? We walked arm in arm. Is that it?
Oh,
That's probably why he probably doesn't like me, Edmund, because I wished her a good night, and she said to you as well. And you know what? I think Mr. Covington here dreams of hearing a woman say anything else but, "Get the fuck away from me, you disgusting freak." I don't know, Ed. It could be a million things.
I mean, he thought he might have a chance with Miss Covington, with Miss Coldwater.
Nah, he doesn't have a chance. He just want to chain her so that he can get the store.
Oh,
He's that kind of a fella.
well, I'm sure we could have a conversation with certain people in town, and I know that he is our boss's nephew, and we should be concerned about his safety. Maybe we should make sure that when he leaves our care, he can find his way home securely
Well,
and not get lost in the desert or the mines.
see, Ed. No, I wouldn't wish the mines upon my worst enemy. I'm keeping Mr. Covington here in this here cell because I reckon, that if he ever goes close to little Miss Maisie again, she's gonna take her shotgun out. So he's staying in the puke-drenched cell for his own good.
You're cleaning that, by the way.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Ed.
I have very few privileges of my age. One of them is that you get to deal with that. And now, have yourself a good night. Get some rest.
I actually need to talk to you outside. Ed, if you don't mind.
Of course.
You have a few minutes to spare?
Yes, all I'm doing is going to make sure that nothing else happens in that bar tonight, or else around the town.
Same for me.
Have a good night, Joshua, and sleep tight. And you hear Joshua go, I know who both of you are, and I'm going to take your names. I'm gonna remember this.
Just remember, Mr. Covington, it's George with no S and Brooke with no S.
He just glares at you. Edmund walks out with you, kind of waving at Covington as well. What's the problem, George?
I reckon you and Thomas were exchanging secret messages during the game.
Well, he wanted my attention about something, but I'm not quite sure what.
Oh, I thought you would know. Gosh darn it.
All I know is that he was concerned about something at the table. That wasn't you, and it wasn't Ben.
I was concerned about the whiskey. Well, the bourbon.
Why were you concerned about the bourbon?
I've tried that bourbon before.
Which bourbon?
The one that was served that Bruce served us near the end. That bottle that reminded the fella about Virginia.
Yes, I'm slightly concerned about that.
Yeah,
The only time that both Thomas and Ben were in Virginia involved cannonballs.
Well, I can tell you, Ed, drinking a glass of that thing is gonna knock you out faster than a cannonball does.
Is it laced with something?
I don't know. I've only had one encounter with it before. And, well, to be honest with you, I don't know what old Ted was doing ordering 30 of these bottles here, but
I mean, he ordered for the bar pretty regularly, actually. Random things that he would find on business trips.
I would have loved to know where he found these bottles during his business trip. They're more like poison.
Well, why didn't you tell Bruce?
Because I suspected he was in on it. That's what I was keeping track of during the game. But then Dr. Adams drank from it and nothing happened to him. And I mean, I'm one with a very hardy constitution. And it knocked me on my ass faster than a horse could do. Or a kick of a mule or something. See, I'm losing all my words. All my
Yes,
idioms.
You look tired. You look very tired, actually.
I have an appointment with Dr. Anders anyway, so that's why I'm going back to the saloon.
Well, I'm sure you do.
And also,
Well-
I actually do have to bring Maisie home.
Yes, that was quite entertaining, by the way. It was quite a pleasure to watch. The man makes my skin crawl.
I mean, when you decide to put away your iron for good, you sort of have to need another weapon. And I reckon my tongue's my sharpest weapon.
It's not bad. But I'll walk with you back to the saloon and I'll keep what you said quiet. Anything else I should be concerned about?
Varmints?
What kind of varmints? You have lots of varmints in this country. I need more than varmints.
Whatever killed old, shit, what was his name again? I was gonna call him Edmund, but that's not him.
Wilford.
Wilford. The drunk. Did we change the name on the townsfolk doc?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, cool. I'm trying to... Yeah, Wilford. Something got to old Wilford. About 2 days past. A day ago.
That's
Maybe.
upsetting.
I know. Ripped it to shred.
What are you going to... You're going to do... Well, what are we doing about it?
I'm gonna go around and have a look outside of town, see if I can't find... Reckon it's probably a grizzly bear, though I don't think we have grizzlies around here. Might be a... Well, if it's not a bear, it might be a mountain lion or a cougar.
Coyote.
I don't think a coyote would have done that. The claw marks were way too big.
All right. Well,
I was
I'll
gonna
be on the
take-
lookout for that.
No worries. I was gonna take Miss Chen with me. I was just waiting for her to be back. Didn't want to bother you none with it. Knowing how you have to sleep in the day.
Yes, it is something that I do have to do. Why don't... Here. I'll walk Miss Coldwater home. You go get some sleep, and then in the morning you can go with Miss Chen and...
Like I
Deal
said,
with
I have
this.
an appointment with the doctor. So,
Okay, well, you go have a new appointment with the... Are you well?
I'm a mite tired. I think I'm coming up with something.
All right, well, I'll go check in on everything else and watch around here, and I'll... Well, these handguns aren't going to do it. I should get myself a shotgun, I should expect.
Or a rifle.
No, the one you wanted with a rifle was always going to be Thomas. Or Ben, actually. He's halfway decent with one.
Ben's pretty heavily armed for a doctor.
You're telling me. First time I met the man, that was the first thing I ever said. There he was, stitching some poor sod up off the floor, who had cut himself on something inane, glass, I believe, and he's got a gun trained on me as I walked in the door. That peacemaker of his.
I thought doctors were against killing.
Apparently he's used to working in some very unsavory locations. I know he did a tour working for some, well, aside for the army, of course. I do know that he worked in some of the more, what is the term you Americans use? Ghettos? Is that a word? You know.
I don't know if that
Slave-
word exists yet.
Yeah, it technically does, just not in English.
I get what
Yeah.
you're... Yeah, he's working in the
you
poorer
work in-
neighborhoods.
You worked in the poor neighborhoods in
The
some
shanty
of your
towns.
cities. the shanty towns and some of the cities, and was also known for treating some slaves, I believe, before the war.
Well, still, if I were you, I'd keep an eye on him as well. He's new in town, and he's come packing a complete arsenal of weapons.
Yes. I'll keep an eye on him and Thomas and what's going on in the saloon. You keep an eye out for whatever this creature is, and give a shout if you need my help.
Don't worry, Ed. I will.
Honestly, you Americans were feeling a need to shorten everything. And he just kind of slaps you on the back and walks off.
I'm gonna go get Maisie. And the doctor. And June.
As you're coming back out, you see them exiting the bar, or the saloon, as the, Bruce Tiger is closing down for the night. Apparently he didn't like the fight going on. Interrupting his game. And looking around, almost everybody else is cleared out, and it's just the four of you in the street at the moment.
So,
I think that gave us more questions than anything else.
I think you're right. Where
But
did you disappear to?
I know my way around the saloon a little bit, so I went and checked in the back for if I could get any more information about where those bottles came from. And like I suspected, it seems like Uncle Taggart has no idea.
no, it seems like it's our old departed friend Ted.
Yeah, I think if anybody knows something, it's going to be out at the Bradfords, which is... Good God. I feel like I'm rifling through the pantaloon drawers of everybody I know.
Well, George, I'll leave this to you. This is your area. You're the one with the authority here. So, what do you think we should do?
Well, I seem to recall that we also have to go on a hunt. There's a lot of things going on around in town, and I don't know which one's worse. A spiked booze or those monsters prowling about.
Monsters.
Well, one of them had proven to be dangerous. The other had just proven to knock your ass.
Seems like it only knocked my ass over. Have you seen Dr. Adams drink tonight? He was just hitting them back.
And you're sure he was drinking what you drank?
The one I drank tonight was not from the same bottle. I was trying to have Bruce pour one from those bottles to everyone. Look at their reaction as they were drinking, but then some lout decided to lunge themselves at me.
I tried getting a look as well, but I couldn't see anything from where I was.
Yeah, I know that Edmund told me that Thomas was suspecting a thing. So maybe it would pay to have a little chat with the other doctors.
Right. Edmund was noting that for me as well. Though I don't imagine that we visit at this time of night, now that everyone's gone off to bed, or at least all most respectable folk are.
I mean, I do believe that both myself and the deputy have been invited over to the Bradfords for dinner at some time soon.
Mm-hmm.
We could make a visit tomorrow. And I know them well enough that it'd be easy enough for me to keep them occupied if the deputy wanted to look around.
All right, and
So
I
that
guess-
just leaves the beasties.
And the doctors. I don't feel comfortable sending Miss Chan here alone with the beasts. No matter how capable you are still one person.
And we set that last one on fire, and it still just kept coming.
Well, usually a combination of fire and a hell of a lot of bullets. But, I mean, we're gonna have to track it down wherever it went.
I suppose I could accompany Miss June.
You sure you're gonna be comfortable around these, clearly very logical creatures?
Whatever it is you all believe that it is, I'm more than expecting a logical, scientific reason for these things to be here. So I don't see why I couldn't accompany you, Miss June.
Well, then I think it's settled.
All right.
We're splitting the party. This is the most logical move and the most reasonable things we could have ever done.
Obviously.
I'll see y'all on the other side.
All right. So the plan is in the morning for George and Maisie to head out towards
The Bradford.
the Bradford Ranch, and for the doctor in June to head out towards the mines. The priest informs you that he will travel with you, Maisie, as he wishes to offer condolences to the widow and her family.
You could Jaeger the priest.
I'm not going to Jaeger the priest. He's just going to be there. I could Jaeger the priest, but he's not going to be there. So we're going to fast forward a little bit to the morning. As the sun rises bright and early. June, you're used to getting up with sunrise. This morning, although the previous day had been warm, feels a little cooler. Not quite as warm as you expect. Still hot. Still New Mexico. But cooler somehow. Sun's not quite as uplifting as it usually is this morning hour of the day. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, so probably roll over and kiss Pearl on the cheek, try not to wake her up. As I, do the thing where you like slide out of bed while trying not to disturb the blankets.
She just kind of pulls them and rolls back over.
Yeah.
Honestly, has that ever worked? Like, even in real life?
Yeah, she tried, but
It doesn't happen.
no.
It doesn't happen. Mm-mm.
It's the sentiment.
Which she appreciates, but doesn't really. She's like, "Oh, see you later, honey. Bye."
Yeah, and she'll get dressed, and of course, her weapons, which are placed right next to the bed, just in case anybody ever decided to barge in. She just straps everything in. And she'll part the curtain just a tad, just to look down and see if there's anything happening, anything unusual.
Nothing. Street's quiet. About the only thing that might be unusual is there's movement across the street, Doc Anders.
Yeah, but I'm expecting that unusual, so.
You're definitely expecting that.
Yeah,
So,
so
Doc, so you're gonna get up and do what? Sorry.
oh, it just go downstairs after getting everything ready and
All right. And as you come out the door, you see the doctor kind of standing in the doorway of his, locking the door behind him at his place of business.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Miss June. How are you?
Well, slept all right and ready to head out.
Yeah, just finishing tending to Jack, John, whichever.
Whichever one.
Yeah, just making sure everything's all right with him before we take off this morning.
I feel like we should call them Jack, John, John Jack or just Jay. I don't know.
I like Jay. Jay's a good idea, and we can dress them both that way.
All right. And yeah, she'll head over to the stables. And...
Because I'm a benevolent keeper, I will ask this question.
Mhm.
Did anyone pick up that flour sack from Maisie?
Ooh, I don't know if June knows about the flour sack.
I'm muted, but now that I'm not muted, I think we would have told you anyway in the whole like story
Okay.
retelling of
Alright.
everything, because that's our plan, right? Our plan was to blow up the mine, not
Steal up
Well,
the
our
money.
plan was to blow up if we found a nest.
yeah.
Okay.
We were assuming nest.
Okay, yeah, so, yes.
Simon just wants to blow everything up. It's fine.
No,
yeah.
Simon just doesn't want to go deep enough to see if there is an actual nest or not. It's preemptive blowing. That's what it is.
So yes, June would definitely have gotten that sack of very innocuous flour.
Yep, that very innocuous sack of flour with sticks of dynamite and fuses. All right. So I'm going to ask June, as the doctor shows you where they found the dead body, and George did tell you the night before about general location where he vaguely heard Wilfred mention about mines he did not go into because there were things in there that were scarier than a bear when he was less than sober. So you have a general idea of where you were going, but I need one of you to make me a track roll or a survival roll.
Oh, June actually does this. Yay. Tracking. Yeah, hard success.
Hard success. It takes you about the better part of the morning just to get there. It's not that it's difficult, it's just far in the terrain. By this time, the sun is high. It's about 9 o'clock in the morning. You find the mine. You can definitely see signs where it had been mined at one point, but no one civilized has been here in years. There's falling wooden support structures. There's a couple pieces of metal debris. It's very obvious that this has been an abandoned mine for some time. The rock is kind of beginning to sway on the support beams on top of the mine. And you feel the staleness. It's not staleness in the air because the mine is open and so there's air flowing through and in and out, but it's just this overwhelming lack of care that just kind of comes from the general vicinity of this opening. What are you going to do?
Probably disembark the horses a distance away from the opening. Obviously not too far away, so that's like unwieldy to get to. But she don't want the horses too close to the entrance. In case,
like a couple years.
Yeah, in case of explosion or in case of something coming out of there. So.
Yeah, no need to spook the horses.
Yeah, no need to spook the horses. And she'll would it have been fair to say that I would have grabbed a lantern to bring or some sort of light source?
Yes, that would be entirely within probability.
Cool.
A lantern would definitely be something that you would have brought with you. It's just
yeah. So she'll take that off the horse and all right, Doc, ready to go whatever it is, exploring.
I'll have a look. I'll hop off my horse as well and make sure my medical bag's attached, and we'll tie up the horse and leave them where they are, and I'll check my revolver and make sure it's loaded and ready to go, and then I'll reholster it and head on in with you.
all right. As you enter this mine, I want to make you both to make a spot hidden and a listen check.
All right.
Success. Hard success. Ooh, all the successes. As you walk into this dark mine, you start to feel cold as the air inside is well shadowed from the heat of the sun by the heavy rock above. You hear whispering on the wind a chittering sound. Almost sounds like laughter. Children laughing and giggling. Something that brings up the side of a bright summer day. And June, as you're looking around, and Doc, as you're looking around, as you look down, you notice something. You, Doctor, in particular, you're a man of science. You're a man well versed in the world. You notice that there's a large amount of insect activity inside this mine. Things crawling and creeping around. Maggots and leeches and worms writhing along the bottom of this ground.
Miss June, am I imagining things, or does this just seem out of place?
Well, not a place that I like to take vacation in, that's for sure.
I mean, this is not a typical breeding ground for a leech to be in. What in the hell?
And as you say that, and you look down, you notice the remains of an animal. It's kind of hard to tell what it was. Maybe some sort of, rodent, or maybe a small cat of some sort. But it is desiccated. Almost mummified.
I think we should maybe have our gun at the ready, Miss June. I don't know what is going on here.
I have a hunch, but we should definitely be a little more cautious. And she's gonna sling her rifle back around, and she's actually gonna use the butt of it and kind of flip this desiccated animal corpse to its side.
Flips over. You notice in doing so a large number of crawling maggots and worms and beetles skitter out from underneath.
Doc, I know that you don't give much. Well, you have other explanations for the story that I tell about that mission on the way here, but there was a man, I think man might not be the right word for it, but a creature that had an affinity for these things.
I mean, I've heard your stories, Miss June, and while I'm a firm believer in a tall tale myself, but I mean, within the fictional sense.
Keep an eye out for swarms of these things. Last thing we want is them forming into a humanoid form.
I mean, that's slightly preposterous, but I'll do what you say. I'll keep an open mind.
Yeah.
As you proceed through the mine, it gets darker. The light from the opening that was shining in is harder to see, and it's even harder to feel against your backs. It's almost colder now that you're inside. You feel the dim light of the lantern lighten your way. And June, I need you to make me a dodge roll. No, you don't. As something in the darkness grabs you. You don't see what it is. You just feel it grab around you and yank. And you feel this sharp pain in your arm as you're going to take 6 points of damage. And it pulls you further in the darkness. Doctor, it is now your... What are you going to do?
So I'm obviously behind June, and I'm observing her being pulled further away.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll rush forward and, say, June, are you okay? What, just to see if she responds, or if she fell, if she tripped over a rock. I don't know.
So I just grabbed and just...
Something reached out of the darkness, grabbed you, and with giant talon-like nails pulls you in. You are technically grappled.
Okay, so yeah, you would see June just like starting to try to, almost like she's pulling away from something. I think something's got me, and she's gonna try to reach in for her free hand and try to grab a revolver.
Okay. Are you gonna make... you cannot see what has you.
Well, there's a hand on me, so I assume there's...
You can feel this tentacle thing, this rope-like arm with large talons pulling you further very, very strongly, but you see nothing.
Great.
And you hear that giggling laughter of children getting louder in your ear.
Cool. I'm just gonna make a guess as to where this thing is being attached to me and shoot at it.
Okay. Go ahead. I mean, you are within point blank range, but you're not going to get the advantage of it because, well, no, you would. Get the advantage for point blank. Ooh, success.
Yeah.
For 1 damage. You feel your bullet impact something. You hear a meaty thud. You're used to your weaponry. You know exactly what it does, but nothing lets go.
Cool.
And as you feel this happen, you feel something come around you and over you and across your neck and bite down hard as you take 12 damage to your strength score. As you feel something grab on and bite down on you and start sucking violently. And as it does so, Doctor, as you're looking in and you see the torchlight shining up above onto June, you start to see something in the darkness. Something growing red and bright, holding June in place. What are you going to do, Doc?
And so, what is it exactly that I'm able to see? So, can I see June basically?
You can see June. You can see a growing red tentacle holding her back like this, and you see something large and bulbous and growing red, starting pink, and growing a slightly more brighter and brighter red, almost as tall as June is, slightly floating off the ground with various tentacles dangling down, latched onto her neck and sucking the life out of her.
So is it wider than June is, or?
Yeah, a little. I would say yes. You could shoot at it without shooting at June.
Yeah, I was gonna draw my revolver and fan off a few rounds and
You are within distance to fan the hammer, sir.
I will do so. All right. So do I need to roll for each time or just...
Yes, you have to roll for each shot.
All right, so first one is a fail. 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 Oh, that's
You
bad.
fire 3 shots into the darkness, Doc, but you are not prepared for what you're seeing. You're not prepared for at all what's going on around you, and it's hard to fire. Even with the lantern dropped on the ground, it's still hanging there, and you just shoot rock. Bang, 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 as you hit the pillar and post of this old mine.
And I'll call it Chunjun. What is going on?
She try her best to talk, but she is also being attacked.
She is indeed. June, would you like to take an action at this point?
I would like to try to get the fuck out.
Okay, I need you to make a... Well, it's going to be an opposed strength check.
Great.
Yeah, you win.
Okay. So yeah, so you'll see June like realizing that she shot something but it had to let go, and now that there's this tentacle around her neck, she dug her hand where she can feel it sucking into her, and she digs her hands in and rips it off of her.
You rip whatever this thing is that you can't really see, but you know is there and is... You are still bleeding, by the way, and you shove it away, and you can just pull yourself away from the grip of this very strong thing around your... rope-like thing around your chest with these talons that have already grazed you. What are you going to do as it begins to start flying closer and reaching out for you again?
Definitely taking steps back, but pulling the rifle and aimed at it.
All right. It's reaching towards you. June, you're going to take 6 more hit point damage as you're bleeding from the neck.
Fucking damage. Jesus.
I'm rolling really well tonight. I like that. As you back up towards the dock, you are bleeding from the neck. You will definitely need medical attention. And if every round you don't receive medical attention, you will take more damage.
But yeah, so I'm backing up with the rifle pulled basically towards the dock. With the and as I'm backing up as it again, I would like to shoot it.
All right, go ahead and shoot it.
Cool.
As this growing bright red thing that's chittering at you and sounding like children laughing in springtime.
Extreme success.
You shoot this thing dead square in the eye, and you know your bullets. It's doing some damage, but not what you expect.
Doc, I think we're gonna need that dynamite.
No.
And I need you to make me a sanity check.
Cool.
Oh, shit.
Hard success.
It's good.
I'll pull the bag.
You only lose 8 sanity.
Pull the
I'm
flower
rolling
sack.
really well tonight.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
As you are focused, June becomes a machine. Your job is to protect someone at home, and this is going to be a danger to Pearl. This thing needs to be eliminated. Any and all cost. And Doc, what are you going to do?
So I'll pull the flour sack around and grab one of the... I'm assuming we've still got the sticks and the fuses separate.
I would assume maybe not, actually.
All right. So
It would be, I mean, you could. I would be a benevolent keeper and say that you put it in before, maybe when you got to the mine, because it would be because you'd have to spend a round putting the fuses into the dynamite before you lit it, which is a delicate process at the time.
Right. So, all right, well, we'll pull the stick out and grab my lighter, and I'll light the fuse.
All right.
I guess I'll throw it at this red mass of whatever it is.
Okay.
And turn to June and tell her to get the hell out of here.
June, what are you going to do as this thing begins to slowly creep towards you?
I believe we got advantages, yeah?
Yeah, I was gonna say right before we do that, thank you, other dog, for the bits. They are giving June and the doctor each one advantage.
Okay. Each one advantage on your whatever you wish to spend it on, or hold it.
On one check, yep.
Cool. Yeah, so June, again, so since the stick of dynamite is going to go towards this thing, but it's still creeping out, and she knows that she might as well try to hurt it as much as she can, and get out at the last moment possible. So she's going to shoot it again, still kind of backing up. Hard success.
You see a giant hole in this creature, and you feel in your mind this pain, nails on a chalkboard, earth-shattering scream, not of words, but of just sound and vibration, like to cause a migraine in your head as you shoot off one of this glowing red tentacles that's just kind of glowing in the dark. And Doc, I need you to roll me 3d10. As the dynamite explodes violently. The whatever this thing was, you can't see it anymore. It's a brilliant glow of darkness and, fire is all that you can see. Very shortly before you feel the stone and rock above you start to shift and shake, and you see a pillar and post fall to the ground. What you doing?
I'm gonna turn, and June is she's still in front of me, or is she behind me now?
She would definitely still be in front of you.
Okay.
She's been shooting out this thing.
I'm gonna put a hand on June's shoulder and try and get her to turn around and start running with me out of the mine.
Is June resisting?
How sure am I that this thing is hurt?
Oh, you're feeling the for lack of a better term, the psychic repercussions of that creature's pain and violence suddenly end in your head.
Cool. Yeah, so she wouldn't be resisting anymore. But she still has the rifle out. And she's still kind of almost as if not quite running backwards, but
Yep. Shooting as you go.
Yep.
Take another 5 damage from bleeding at the neck.
Yeah, we got to get you out of here.
How's June looking?
At about half of her.
So a little peckish in the face there. We're losing a little blood.
Yeah, she's looking a little pale.
She's looking a little pale.
And the collar of her shirt is drenched in blood.
Mm-hmm. As you run out of the mines and you feel the rock and wood and everything that's going on, and it falls dramatically behind you with a giant exploding puff of dust and debris, and you're standing next to your horses. Doc, and June is bleeding profusely, you know that it's too far to get back to town. You're gonna have to do something for her soon.
When we're back at the horses, I'm gonna run over to mine and grab my medical kit off the back of the horse and get in and get my bandages and start getting some pressure on this wound so she can stay with us.
Yeah, and so she'll kind of like hiss as like, you're as you start doing this, and kind of say, shouldn't stick around here. I've got a couple of friends 30 minutes away from here. Be easy on me, Doc.
Don't talk. Don't try to talk right now. Let me fix this. The more you flex, the more pressure you're putting onto your heart. You're pumping blood.
Would you like to do first aid?
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it first aid or is it medicine? I think it's first aid.
First aid first, and
First
then
aid
medicine after.
Okay.
And then,
All right. So let's.
ooh, extreme success. You've definitely stopped the bleeding. I think it's like what, 1 hit point for
I
first
got
aid.
one for an extreme, yeah.
1 for extreme for first aid. But she's stable and could be moved, but she can't be moved far.
Then how far out of town are we?
A good 3-4 hours. Remember, you took most of the morning to get here.
All right. Is there like an old mining station or something here, some sort of shelter we could take so I could take a better look?
Yeah, June again will kind of like whisper, just be like, I've got friends 30 minutes from here. They'll probably take us in.
All right. Are you good enough to ride, or?
I've gotta.
So I'll help June up on her horse and get her settled in, and I'll grab mine and make sure I've got the reins alongside mine and have June point me in the direction we need to go.
Mm-hmm. And Doc, again, you served in the war. You're familiar with how to tie a person to the saddle so that they don't fall out on march. Something that's very easy to do. And you ride off into the dark. Well, into the daytime, as the sun begins to turn high in the shadows. Takes about 30 minutes, and you're riding up on a spread. It's peaceful looking. Large ranch house. And there's a sign above the gate. It's an R and an E, bracketing a B. For one Robin and Ezekiel Banks.
I hope this is the right place, June.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we're going to end it for tonight. Because we have something fun planned for next week, don't we, Simon?
It would help if I wasn't muted in 2 different places. Yes, we have next week actually is going to be our first charity game on Wandering DM, and we're kicking things off with, for the first one, Pulp Cthulhu. So some people that you might have seen in the original one-shots will be featured. They'll come around. I don't know exactly the details. We have to hash that out with Brax.
I can give you one spoiler.
Go ahead.
As the Doctor and June ride up, looking slightly worse for wear, the door opens, and one Robin Banks walks out onto the ranch house and says, "Now, what trouble are you bringing to my door today?" As Lindy will be joining us next week to reprise Miss Robin Banks.
Yay. They have a great friendship, Robin and June. Super, super good friendship. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. And other details will be posted this week on my Twitter, so just keep an eye out. Thank you everyone for coming. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a lot of fun. I thoroughly enjoyed not seeing my sanity go down, which is kind of cool. I did not terribly enjoy having the person that can restore my sanity being drained and mold in a mine. But hey, them's the games. So thank you all for coming. Let's just go around the table, do our outros. We'll start with our keeper and then move on to Kelly, Scott, and then Kiana.
Good evening, all. You know me. I'm Deirdre, at Deirdre Donlin on Twitter, or Praxagora Thesmiophoria is using me hanging out in the Twitch chat. Really looking forward to planning some fun things for next week. Come help give us all support. We'll post that on the Twitter. I'll be retweeting everything Simon does. But tomorrow I'm doing two things that'll be lots and lots of fun. I'm going to be over on Katie Face's channel playing a mini campaign of Honey Heist, and I am going to have so much fun with that. And then tomorrow night, the Shattered Eye. There's going to be a Manticore. Apparently, there's a Manticore.
Finally, yeah.
Finally, we get to the Manticore. Yep. And then Monday, I'm back here as Simon gets to do weird and strange things to my Void Cleric, and she's fine with it. You know?
As we get to finish exploring the rooms of your ship and potentially delve deeper into the conspiracy at hand.
Yep. But I'll see you guys back here on Saturday as we raise money for charity, and I get to drive Fook mad. So yay!
Kelly, who are you? Where can we find you on the internet?
Hi, I'm Kelly, at akelly on Twitter. I will not be here next week, sadly. I will be missing our awesome game, but that gives room for more people to come and join, and I'm excited to watch and see what shenanigans everyone gets up to. You can find me here, as well as on Tuesdays and Wednesdays at 10 p.m. You can find me on Scraticus Academy. Tuesdays playing in Curse of Strahd, which is a very funny game for being in Barovia. And Wednesdays playing Dynama, which is a play set of the Weave system, designed by Rene of Fate and the Fable Maidens fame. And that's a good time. I have some one-shots coming up later in the month, including on the 17th, I'll be running a Call of Cthulhu one-shot on Otherdoc, who was our generous donor today, our generous bit donor today. And there we'll be having a modern Call of Cthulhu game set in an unnamed Swedish furniture store. So that should be entertaining, to say the least. And then I'll be having some other things, but you can check out my full schedule on my Twitter.
Cool. Scott, where can we find you? What do you have going on?
So I am here on Saturdays, and I'm enjoying every one of those so far. I will be here next week as well, so we'll have a doctor on hand to patch up Miss June. You can find me on Twitter at Berserker Rage. I am an occasional streamer, which is very rare, but sometimes on Twitch at Berserker Rage there as well. And looking forward to the charity stream next week.
And Kiana.
That was super fun, even though, holy shit, those keeper rolls. What even? Thank God for pulp health, because I would have been super dead otherwise. This was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this game when I can play it. So I may or may not be here next week. I gotta figure out timing. We'll see. But if not, June just has to recover, and also try not to make snarky comments at one Robin Banks. So you guys find me over on Twitter at Kiana S. Best way to figure out what I'm doing, because I'm over the internet playing role-playing games almost every day of the week. What am I gonna plug? I'm actually being pretty chill about one-shots this month, but generally speaking, you can find all that information there and where I'm at on Twitter. But also, I have a channel coming up called Salty Sweet Games. It's me and Lauren. That's Salty Ginger. We have a Twitch channel that we're kind of doing some tabletops and video games on. So we have our official launch in the spring, but we're going to be doing some test streams on the way there to figure out how to do the pro streaming thing. So keep an eye out on our Twitter at Salty Sweet Games, same with our Twitch there. I'll let you know that we're planning on doing some fun horror video games, possibly Resident Evil 2. And then as well, I'll probably be running a few more Bluebeard Brides games as well. So come check us out over there. We're almost at 100 followers on Twitter already, and that's wild. So yeah, lots of fun over there.
And I suppose I go last. Hi, it was tons of fun to play today. Getting into the multiple mysteries. Anyway, I feel like we have multiple mysteries on hand. I feel like there's a lot of shit going on in Four Corners. I also enjoy letting Joshua freaking rot in his cell. But yeah, my schedule is up. Will be up anyway after the show if you want to see where I am, what I do. Next week, like we said earlier, is going to be the first charity stream. Everything will be posted. Also, I will be doing, for those who are interested, a giveaway of the first Witcher. I have a stream key for the Director's Cut edition of Witcher 1 during my Witcher stream on Friday. Next Friday, actually. And that is pretty much it. Otherwise, I'll wish you everyone a good night, and we'll see you next week. Bye bye.